OneTrust.com is leaking, so I can see that domain. But what I actually want to show you, hopefully, is that we see some Cloudflare here. And notice we see Cloudflare DNS there. Notice we see Chrome Cloudflare DNS. We don't actually see geolocation. Now, this is not showing it as clearly as I wanted it to show. So I'm going to clear the DNS cache again, and I'm going to use Firefox, which shows this more clearly. So if I go to settings in Firefox now, privacy and security, and I scroll down, I am doing something very similar here, where I'm saying use DNS over HTTPS. We are not going to use the default protection. We're going to use the max protection. Firefox will always use secure DNS, and the provider I'm going to use is Cloudflare. So again, I've flushed the DNS cache. I'll restart Wireshark, and let's search for nvidia.com. I'll search for udemy.com. I'll go to geolocation.com. And here again, we see the Cloudflare verification, which is what we want to see. And then we see the website. So back in Wireshark, if I search for NVIDIA, notice we see the client hello there. So even with all those protections, I'm still seeing the domain. Udemy, I may see, there it is. So Cloudflare didn't do that one. But let's see geolocation.com. We still see that. So that OneTrust website is showing. But what I want to show you is we should see a Cloudflare message here, right over there. Notice cloudflare.ech.com. So what is ECH? So on the Cloudflare website, we can see that ECH stands for Encrypted Client Hello. This encrypts part of the handshake and masks the server name indication that is used to negotiate a TLS session. We were seeing that unencrypted with NVIDIA, but we are not seeing it with this website. So when we visit example.com without ECH, we can see that you have gone to example.com, even if that's hosted on Cloudflare. But with ECH, intermediaries cannot see that domain. They see cloudflare-ech.com. So this is where I've seen a lot of arguments where people say, if you're using the latest version of TLS, using the latest version of your browser, etc., you will just see Cloudflare ECH as an example. You will not be able to see which domains I'm going to, but that's not true. So again, I will just keep that running. And what I'll do here is go to cisco.com or go to techcrunch.com or go to microsoft.com. So I'm going to these various websites, big companies, and I could simply search for them here. There's Cisco, SNI is shown. TechCrunch, SNI is shown. Microsoft, SNI is shown, even though I'm using TLS 1.3. So don't think that just because you're using the latest version of software and you're using encrypted DNS, people will not be able to see which website you're going to. As I've proven here, just by running a simple tap on my network, I can see the websites that you've gone to, say NVIDIA or TechCrunch or Microsoft, etc. I can see all those websites because of SNI in the client hello message. So now let's try going to a more popular website. Let's go to chatgpt.com. Okay, a bunch of stuff pops up here, but there you go. I'm on ChatGPT. And let's ask it a question. Does DNS encryption encrypt all packets? See what it says. We're told, no, DNS encryption does not encrypt all packets. It only protects DNS queries and responses, not your entire internet traffic. It gives us an overview of the fact that we can use DO or DOT as an example. It does not encrypt the actual data you send and receive after the DNS lookup. Website traffic, etc., etc. Your ISP can still see the IP addresses that you connect to. And that's a really good point, because even if you hide the DNS names, the IP addresses can still be seen. Traffic is still made. You'll see your internet. A bunch of stuff pops up here. Go to chatgpt.com. Okay, a bunch of stuff pops up here. But there you go. I'm on ChatGPT. And let's ask it a question. Does DNS encryption encrypt all packets? See what it says. We're told, no, DNS encryption does not encrypt all packets. It only protects DNS queries and responses, not your entire internet traffic. It gives us an overview of the fact that we can use DO or DOT as an example. It does not encrypt the actual data you send and receive after the DNS lookup. Website traffic, etc., etc. Your ISP can still see the IP addresses that you connect to. And that's a really good point, because even if you hide the DNS names, the IP addresses can still be seen. Traffic is still visible unless separately encrypted. So as an analogy, think of DNS as asking for directions. DNS encryption hides the address you're asking for, but once you start driving there, people can see where you go. That's a good analogy, I think. And we're told that you need something like HTTPS for web browsing as well as a VPN to encrypt your traffic. But let's see if that's true here. So I will do a search for chatgpt.com. And you can see the SNI right there in the TLS message. So the client hello message is not encrypted when I go to ChatGPT. Let's try another one, namecheap.com. That shows up straight away. So if I search for, let's say, cheap, I can see the SNI message right there. So I don't know how you've experienced this, but sometimes when I go to ChatGPT or other websites, I'm actually prompted by Cloudflare, but here I'm not. Same with Namecheap. I was assuming that I would get a Cloudflare prompt, but I didn't in this case. So let's search for websites that use Cloudflare. Okay, so we've told Canva as an example, Spotify, etc. So let's go to canva.com. Again, if I search here, let's search for Canva. We're seeing the client hello right there. What about x.com? What about spotify.com? I'm not getting any Cloudflare prompts. So x.com, see the SNI there. Spotify, I see the SNI there. So just because a site uses Cloudflare doesn't mean that this kind of information is going to be hidden. And just like ChatGPT told us, even if we were using ECH to hide the DNS lookups, that doesn't hide the IP addresses. In other words, ISPs and others can see the IP addresses in a conversation. They can see my IP address going to a website, as an example. Now, that may be harder to determine, but let's say here we've got 3586.224.24. If we looked that up, so if I search for IP address reverse lookup, I may be able to determine which IP address is being used. So let's say 35.186.224.24. Let's get IP address details. We can see here that this is just showing up as Google LLC. So we don't see the actual content used here, but here we do see the SNI information. Let's look at Canva. So IP address 18.154.84.54. That's showing us this information. So cloudfront.net, ISP is amazon.com. That's not necessarily giving us great information about Canva, because that could just be hosted in a CDN like Cloudflare or others, in this case Amazon. If I search for ChatGPT, IP address is there. So 104.18.32.47. And there you go, that's Cloudflare. Now take note here, please. This is ChatGPT. IP address there, doing reverse lookup, shows us that it's hosted by Cloudflare. So ChatGPT uses a content delivery network, so CDN, in this case, Cloudflare. We, however, were able to determine the website through the SNI, even though in my settings, I've got Firefox using max protection using Cloudflare. So in theory, ECH should be hiding that information, but for these examples, it's not. I can still see the SNI information for ChatGPT. I can still see the SNI information for Canva. I can still see the SNI information for other websites. So be careful what you read online. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the word of others. Do it yourself. Use Wireshark and see what's going on. Now let's look at what happens when we put this traffic through a VPN. Will it hide everything? And I think you probably know the answer. So how do you solve this? You may not like the answer, but notice here in Firefox, we have this option to use the built-in VPN. Firefox now comes with 50 gigs of free VPN data every month, where you can hide your location when browsing in Firefox. What I'll simply do here is use Proton. So I'm using a free version of Proton. I simply signed up for Proton and got this, and I'm going to connect to a web server, let's say in the States. So I am running a VPN now. What I'll do is shut down Firefox, clear the DNS cache, run it again, and let's restart Wireshark and see what traffic we capture. So, a bunch of traffic being captured there, but I'll go to various websites. So, nvidia.com, microsoft.com, cisco.com, davidbomble.com. So I've connected to various websites here. Can we see that in the DNS traffic? No, we're seeing nothing there. So no DNS traffic was captured. Let's try and find the domain. Can't find Microsoft, can't find NVIDIA, can't find David Bomble, can't find any of those websites because all the traffic is encrypted through a VPN. So you can just see WireGuard traffic here. Notice there's WireGuard showing up. Lots of WireGuard traffic because my traffic is being sent through the VPN. So be careful what people tell you on Twitter or X. Be careful what people tell you online. Prove it for yourself. Do what I've done here, where you run a tap, run Wireshark, and see what's actually going on. So as I've proven, if you go to various websites, even if you're using the latest version of a browser, latest version of software at the moment. So if I go to help about Firefox, you can see I'm using the latest version of Firefox. I'll open up Chrome. Even if I'm using the latest versions of these browsers, my traffic can still be captured, and someone like an ISP or a government or someone else can see which websites I'm going to. They can capture my traffic and filter my traffic. As an example, block certain domains. Companies, as mentioned, want to do this. And the problem with using a VPN or another technology like this is that they can't see the SNI and therefore can't block or do something with the traffic that you're sending to certain domains. So hopefully I've proven to you that encrypted DNS doesn't give you total privacy because the SNI will show which domains you're going to. In some cases, ECH will hide the domain that you're going to, but not in all cases. As I demonstrated, even with a geolocation website, there was leakage because I could see other domain information, even though the main domain was hidden because all I saw was Cloudflare-ECH. But I was able to see other information about that domain and work out where the person had gone. Okay, so that was very detailed, but hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully I've shown you that when a client normally connects to a server, the client hello is unencrypted. Then the encryption takes place. So the server sends the certificate, the client responds, and then the information is encrypted. But with ECH, the client hello is encrypted. Everything else is encrypted. But one of the problems here is that filtering and proxies, etc., don't work if everything is encrypted. So DNS filtering doesn't work properly, where you can't filter out phishing and malware websites, as an example, which you might want to do in a company. But at home, you may prefer to have the privacy. So at the end of the day, even though some people say you don't need a VPN when you connect to a public Wi-Fi, I still would use a VPN if you want privacy because your domains could leak even if you're using encrypted DNS. But let me know in the comments if I missed something. But hopefully this detailed video using Wireshark and a tap shows you that I'm correct in demonstrating that even if you're using encrypted DNS, it's possible for someone to see which domains you're actually going to, and they could block those domains, or they could simply log where you're going. I'm David Bomble. I want to wish you all the very best.
You need to stop using TryHackMe yesterday. And because yesterday has already passed, I would strongly encourage you by the end of this video, log into your TryHackMe account and delete your account. In this video, I'll explain to you why I feel so strongly about that. I'll share with you my experience with TryHackMe, the changes that they have made, the way they have treated their employees, and the new AI pen testing company that they have launched that is seemingly trying to replace the very people they've spent the past 5+ years training. Now for the Try Hack Me legal team, let me be very clear. Everything I say in this video is my opinion. Everything I say in this video is my interpretation of the facts as I see them. In this video, I will share with you public information that anybody can look up, and so all of my opinions are based on that public information. That being said, let's go ahead and dive into it, and I'll give you the TLDR. Today, and by today, it's March 19th. I'm recording this video at about 10 o'clock at night because someone shared this in the Hack Smarter Discord. But today, Ben Spring, the founder of TryHackMe, has announced a second company powered by TryHackMe called NoScope. He advertises this as a fully automated AI pen tester that helps replace the expensive human-led pen testing. I find it very confusing that TryHackMe is seemingly trying to replace the very people they have spent the past 5+ years training. Now, in their wording, they do say, we do not think that pen testers are going to be replaced, blah, 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 blah. But we're going to look at those claims. We're going to look at what they are doing, and I will have you make your own conclusion. Before we dive into that, though, I want to share with you my background and my experience with TryHackMe. I am not some TryHackMe outsider from the outside just trying to throw stones. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know that TryHackMe has been core to my own journey and really core to my own identity. If you look through my YouTube video or my YouTube channel, I have made hundreds of videos completely free promoting TryHackMe, walking through TryHackMe labs. I've even submitted my own TryHackMe labs to the platform. Once again, completely free, never being paid. I also serve formally on their QA team. So this is a volunteer team with a small group of people. And on this QA team, we would QA upcoming releases, make sure they are ready for release. In addition to that, I have found multiple vulnerabilities on their platform, which I have responsibly disclosed to their team. So in many ways, I am a TryHackMe insider. I think I'm about as TryHackMe insider as you can get without actually being an employee of TryHackMe. Heck, I even have an NDA signed with them from when I did QA work. So everything I'm going to share in this video, none of it comes from like secret TryHackMe information I know about. All of it is from public channels that you can look up yourself. So at the outset, once again, I want to emphasize, I am not some TryHackMe hater. I feel like TryHackMe has lost its way, not due to the employees at TryHackMe, but primarily due to the leadership of TryHackMe and their obsession with AI. Additionally, I want to let you know that I tried to resolve this privately when I was on the QA team. So let me bring you back a little bit of time, and you can actually find this video on my YouTube channel if you dig a little deeper. But a while ago, TryHackMe began developing an AI pen testing agent. And one of the concerns of me and many people in the community is whether or not TryHackMe user data was being used to develop this AI agent, including the rooms on TryHackMe that volunteers like me contributed, not for the purpose of training an AI agent, but rather for the purpose of helping the next generation of learners learn about cybersecurity. I first raised these concerns in a private staff Discord channel that I had access to as a member of the QA team, as did a few other people who were mods or QA or staff. I don't actually know who they all were. And Ben instructed us to post publicly in the Echo feedback channel on Discord. If you know that whole Echo feedback craziness, you know what I'm talking about. Ben's response to our concerns that TryHackMe was using user data to develop an AI agent was, hey, if you are upset with this, go ahead and delete your TryHackMe account. You can opt out by deleting your TryHackMe account. I felt that that response was not fair to the community that has supported him and supported TryHackMe for many, many years, and the many volunteers who have given their time to help train the next generation of hackers and cybersecurity defenders. It was at that time that I made my initial video on is TryHackMe using your data to build an AI agent. So if you want to hear more of that story, I would suggest watching that video. I share all of the Discord information. I walk you through all of it step by step. That was one thing. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it is TryHackMe. Technically, at the end of the day, they have permission to use their data however they want to use it. What made me significantly more upset is Ben posted this on LinkedIn. To be clear, I had to create a sock puppet account. I'm apparently William Menifee because Ben Spring blocked me on LinkedIn the last time I tried to call him out for some of these things. But here is what Ben said 2 months ago about hiring an AI pen testing, someone to build this. I want to draw your attention to the last paragraph here. He said, to address previous misinformation. Now, I was the primary person supposedly spreading this misinformation. I don't think there were too many other videos or commentary about the way TryHackMe was using user data. And so I'm quite certain that was addressed at me and a few people in the community. He said to address previous misinformation, no THM data is being used to develop our agent. Well, our concerns about that came from a job description that was posted that literally says we have the world's largest proprietary data set and we are using it to build the next AI agent. But he did say this, no THM data is being used to develop our agent. So if I would give Ben Spring the benefit of the doubt, maybe he changed his mind and he thought, hey, it is not a good look for us to use TryHackMe data to build a separate company. Well, when I was looking at the separate company, here is what I came across. This is NoScope. Directly from their website, the data, millions of user journeys from TryHackMe, the world's largest security training platform, give our agent unmatched vulnerability context. So I don't know what's going on here, or let me jump out over here. I don't know what's going on here, but from what I can see, Ben is directly contradicting himself. For the lawyers and legal team who want to watch this, I'll be abundantly clear. That is my interpretation of what I am seeing before me. Ben said no THM data is being used to develop our agent. On the very website of his new AI agent, it says millions of user journeys from
TryHackMe, a maior plataforma de segurança cibernética do mundo. Blá, blá, blá. Está escrito todos os dados usados com consentimento explícito do usuário. Tem uma conta no TryHackMe agora ela será excluída. E também perguntei a outras pessoas. Não conheço ninguém que tenha dado consentimento explícito do usuário para usar seus dados. Suponho que Ben esteja se referindo ao fato de que, ao se inscrever no TryHackMe, você concorda com o longo contrato do usuário e, oculto nesse contrato, você concorda que seus dados e sua jornada de usuário podem ser usados. Honestamente, não me aprofundei nisso. Então, você teria que verificar o contrato do usuário para ver se está lá. Mas acho que dizer que é consentimento explícito do usuário é mais uma vez enganoso, a menos que eu tenha perdido um pop-up ou alguma janela de sim quando estava fazendo login na plataforma TryHackMe. Mas vamos em frente e falar sobre o NoScope. Esta é a postagem de Bench hoje, 4 horas atrás, apresentando o NoScope, um novo empreendimento apoiado pelo TryHackMe. Teste de penetração de IA com cobertura da Deep Web, correção automática, reteste ilimitado e resultados em horas, não dias. Encontramos grandes vulnerabilidades, blá 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 blá. Pode usar o NoScope em conjunto com uma equipe de pentest. Essa seria a melhor maneira de usar um agente de IA. Por isso, acho que IA tem utilidade em pentest, embora eu sugiro que você tenha muito cuidado. Sempre que estiver usando IA em um teste de penetração, você deve ser franco com o cliente.
Be explicit written permission. I actually won 2 clients recently because they asked me to use AI in pen testing at Kairosec, my pen testing company that I run. And I explained to them that I do use some AI for a portion of the reporting process, but the actual testing is not done with AI. And the reason they ask that question is companies don't want you, for the most part, taking their sensitive data and passing it over to a third party.
Exactly.
That said, I do think AI can be a tool that can augment pen testing, but I think the entire fully automated AI pen testing is not a pen test. It is simply a vulnerability scan with...
It also can break the scope of the test very easily, and then you will get in trouble for that. Because AI can't be legally responsible for something, right? So the people that is running the AI, in that case, the pen tester will be legally responsible for any scope that is broken, moved beyond breaking the contract. Yeah, so that's it.
AI built into it. So I have a strong disagreement with even the statement behind it. But let's go on here. Human-led pen tests are expensive and cover a fraction of applications. NoScope goes deeper for significantly less. Pen testers aren't going away, but the way pen tests have done for the last decade has changed. This entire paragraph is contradiction after contradiction. So this paragraph begins by hating on human-led pen test and how NoScope is so much better than a human-led pen test. But don't worry, pen testers aren't going away. Let's save ourselves there. Here's the reality of what I see. TryHackMe has started a second company. Rather, Ben Spring, the founder of TryHackMe, has started a second company that is publicly backed by TryHackMe. This company is building an AI pen testing agent with one of the big purposes to replace human-led pen testing. The very people TryHackMe has been trying to upskill for the past 5+ years, releasing certifications on it and all of that nature. Well, let's go ahead and look at their website itself and get a feel for what is no scope, what are their claims, what are factual, what is not factual. Scroll through here, we'll try to hype through, or we'll try to walk through the marketing hype. Don't take our word for it, see the proof. I won't take your word for it. I trust me.
Yeah, just a minute. I need to fetch something.
Attack, validate, and fix. We get why you need a pen test, more than a checkbox, better security, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, like, who is on their team. Maybe they have some, actually, I think it's company. Maybe they have an expert level pen tester helping develop this. The people behind No Scope. There is one person, unless I'm missing them. So let's dig into Ben's background and see if he is qualified to do this. Previously at GCHQ, now I could be wrong at this.